Hello, my dear students. How are you? I hope everyone will be fine. My name is Abhishek Sahu. I am your biology educator. I am CSR NET JRF qualified with All India rank 61, and I will teach you the most beautiful subject of the science, that is biology. And today we will discuss the topic excretion from chapter Life Process of class 10th biology. So let's start our topic. What is the meaning of the term excretion? What is excretion in the simple language? In simple, excretion is means the removal of waste from the body. Removal of the waste from the body is called as excretion. And let us read the given definition given in the NCERT. The biological process involved in the removal of harmful metabolic waste from the body. Removal of harmful metabolic waste from the body is called as excretion. Now the question arises, what is a metabolic waste? What is a metabolic waste? The waste generated by our metabolism. The food we intake, is converted into the glucose C6H12O6. Then it meets up with oxygen in our blood, and then oxygen breaks down into CO2 plus H2O plus ATP. And this CO2 and H2O generated by our metabolism is considered as a waste. Sir, H2O is a waste? Yes, H2O is a waste when we drink excess water. When we ingest excess food, this H2O is also considered as a waste during excessive ingestion. And CO2, we all know that CO2 is very harmful for us. So, to remove them from the body is called as excretion. But this is not our excretory product. Our main excretory product is urea. And now what is excretory product? In our body, the waste generated is called as nitrogenous waste. The waste generated in our body is called as nitrogenous waste. And on the basis of nitrogenous waste, the organisms are classified into the three main categories. Let us discuss one by one. The first category animals is called as ammoniotelic. Ammoniotelic. The second category is ureotelic. Ureotelic. And the last one is called as uricotelic. Let's understand this one by one. On the basis of nitrogenous waste generated by the animals, the organisms are classified into the three main categories: the ammoniotelic, ureotelic, and the uricotelic. Now, understand what are these terms. The organism which excrete out ammonia from the body, they are called as ammoniotelic. The organism which excrete urea from the body, they are called as ureotelic. And the organisms which excrete uric acid from the body, they are called as uricotelic. And which are those organisms? Let us understand the examples. The organism which excrete ammonia needs lot of water because ammonia is a soluble compound. Ammonia is a soluble in water, and it needs lots of water to excrete out. And which organism have lots of water? Which lives in a water? Example, fishes. Fishes excrete out ammonia. Ureotelic, we the mammals are the example of ureotelic organisms. We excrete out urea from the body. Last is uricotelic, the organism which excrete uric acid. Example, birds, reptiles, snails. It required very least amount of water, very least. As we know that birds do not have huge amount of water. Birds needs to conserve their water. That's why they excrete out uric acid from the body. Fishes has lots of amount of water. That's why they excrete out ammonia. Humans, mammals have moderate amount of water. That's why they excrete out urea from the body. So on the basis of nitrogen waste, the organisms are classified into these three main categories. Now move ahead. Understand simple organisms and multicellular organisms. NCERT says that in simple unicellular organisms, there is no excretory organs found because they are unicellular. They are not at organ level of organization. They are at cellular level of organization. So their excretory system They do not have excretory system. They excrete out via simple diffusion. They excrete out via simple diffusion. And in case of multicellular organisms, we have organ system level of organization. So we have a specific system that is called as excretory system. Excretory system. In humans, we have to study in detail about the excretory system of the humans. So let's move on to the next slide. That is our main topic, human excretory system. So what is human excretory system? How it is consist? So move on to it. Human excretory system is consist of first a pair of kidneys with a pair of kidneys. Second, a pair of ureters. Third, a urinary bladder. The fourth one, a urethra. Pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, a urinary bladder, and a urethra. Pair means they are in number in 2. They are also 2. It is 1. Now let us draw the structure of the human excretory system, and we will understand all these parts of the human excretory system. First of all, we will draw the kidneys. These are our cute kidneys. This is first kidney. This is the second one. A pair of kidneys is already drawn. Now the second one. Second one is a pair of ureter, which are arising from the kidney. A pair of ureter. Now the next one is a urinary bladder. This is our urinary bladder. And from urinary bladder, urethra arises. This is our urethra. Let's label them one by one. This is a kidney. This one is ureters. This one is urinary bladder. And the last one, but not the least, is urethra. Let's discuss it one by one. The artery which is taking impure blood into the kidney. The artery. Wait a minute, change the color. The artery which is taking impure blood into the kidneys. The artery which is taking impure blood is called as renal artery. And the vein which is taking blood outside from the kidney is called as renal vein. Let's label them. This is called as renal artery. The renal words refers to kidney, like hepatic refers to liver, like pulmonary refers to lungs, like cardiac refers to heart. That's how renal word refers to the kidney. And this is called as renal vein. So let's start with the kidneys. Kidneys are a bean-shaped organ. It is a bean-shaped organ. First is, it is bean-shaped. It is reddish brown in color. Its weight is about 120 to 130 gram. Its location is between T12 to L3, thoracic 12 to lumbar 3. It is situated between T12 to L3 dorsally in the body. So if someone asks you about the location of the kidney, you will tell kidneys are situated dorsally in the body on either side of the vertebral column in between the T12 and the L3. Kidneys are bean-shaped organs, reddish brown in color, 120 to 130 grams, situated between T12 to L3. Now, this impure blood gets purified into the kidney by the structural and functional unit of the kidneys. What is in kidney which purifies the blood? There is a structural and functional unit of the kidney called as nephron, which we'll discuss in the next slide. Nephron purifies the blood, forms the urine, and this urine will come into the urinary bladder via this ureter. So what is the function of ureter? It carries the urine from kidneys to the urinary bladder. Then this urinary bladder gets filled with the urine. So what is the function of urinary bladder? It stores the urines temporarily. It stores the urine. Then when we have feeling of urination, the urine will come out via urethra. Urethra is the passage of urine which release urine out of the human body. This urethra opens into the penis, and this opening of the urethra is called as urethral meatus. This opening is called as urethral meatus. This is the diagram of the human excretory system. This is renal vein carrying impure blood, carrying waste, harmful products into the kidney. This harmful blood is purified into the kidney by the structural and functional unit of the kidney called as nephrons, and the urine formed taken to the urinary bladder via ureters, and then urine gets stored in the urinary bladder and then pass out from the body via urethra, and the opening of urethra is called as urethral meatus. This is the diagram of the human excretory system. Now we will understand how our blood gets purified. Which structure purifies our blood? The structure is called as nephron. So nephron is the structural and functional unit of the kidneys. Number, they are 1 million in each kidney. So this much, yes, nephron 1 million means 10 lakh in each kidney. We will discuss the structure of the nephron, the most important question in terms of 10th board exam. Draw the structure of nephron. We will simplify the structure. In NCERT, the structure looks like complex, but we will study it in very simple way. Now, let us draw the structure in sequence. Nephron is consist of two parts. First is the renal capsule part, plus second one is the renal tubule part. Why we are using the term renal? Means something related to kidney, and nephrons are related to kidney, found in kidney, structural and functional unit of the kidney. That's why we are using the word renal capsule and renal tubule. Now first of all, draw the renal capsule. Renal capsule is a cup-like structure. This is called as renal capsule. Then it will continue into the renal tubule. This whole structure is the renal tubule. Then it will form this tube-like structure, and we will label it one by one. Understand the sequence of the diagram. You have to draw in the board exams. First of all, draw the renal capsule, then continue it renal tubule, and form like this. And you will get the full marks in your examination. We will label it one by one. It is renal capsule, it is renal tubule. Now, the renal artery which taking the blood into the kidney, the entry of the artery into the nephron is called as efferent arteriole. Let's understand this. This This artery carrying the impure blood into the nephrons. Carrying impure blood, and here it becomes divided into the capillaries. This structure is a tuft of capillaries. Tuft of capillaries is called as glomerulus. This is glomerulus. This is renal capsule, which is called as Bowman's capsule. This structure is PCT. This structure is called as loop of Henle. This is called as DCT, and this is called as collecting duct. And this artery which is exiting from the nephron is called as efferent arteriole, which continues to form the peritubular capillaries. It coiled around the nephron. It coiled around the nephron to form peritubular capillaries, just like it fold around the tubular part of the nephron at the periphery of the nephron. That's why it is called as peritubular capillaries, and it straightens around the loop of Henle. It becomes straight. It becomes straight and U-shaped around the loop of Henle, and here its name gets changed and it is called as vasa recta. Let's label them one by one. Let's label them one by one. The artery which is taking the impure blood into the glomerulus is called as efferent arteriole. Is called as efferent arteriolar. The artery which is taking, after filtration, taking blood is called as efferent arteriole. Efferent, E for exit, E for efferent. Efferent arteriole. Here it is divided into the capillaries. The tuft of capillaries is called as glomerulus. It is called as glomerulus. The glomerulus is opening in a structure which is called as Bowman's capsule. This structure is called as Bowman's capsules, not Bowman Irani, bro. It is Bowman's capsule. Then it is continuing in the structure which is called as PCT. What is the full form of PCT? Proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal, near to the Bowman's capsule. That's why it is called as proximal. C, convoluted. It is convoluted tubule. T for, this is called as DCT. Means D for distal. Distal. Distal from the Bowman's capsule. That's why called as distal convoluted tubule. This loop is called as loop of Henle. Loop of Henle. This is a detailed structure of the nephron which is not given in the NCERT. Given in the NCERT, we are studying the detailed structure. And this, the last part, is called as collecting duct. Collecting duct. This is the complete structure, and two things are missing. These are peritubular capillaries. Peritubular capillaries. And this straight U-shaped artery is called as vasa recta. Vasa recta. This is the final complete structure of the nephron, starting from renal capsule and renal tubule. The blood taking from the artery is called as efferent arteriole. After purification, the blood exiting out from the nephron is called as efferent arteriole. The tuft of capillary is called as glomerulus. This capsule is known as Bowman's capsule. This is PCT, this is DCT, this is loop of Henle, this is vasa recta, this is peritubular capillaries, and this is collecting duct. Now the question arises, which of the following is not a part of nephron? Bowman's capsule is a part of nephron, PCT is a part of nephron, loop of Henle is a part of nephron, DCT is a part of. But I have drawn this structure from a different color pen. Why? Because collecting duct is not a part of nephron. In one collecting duct, like this, 4,000 nephrons opens. 4,000. How many nephron opens? 4,000 nephrons in one collecting duct. Means collecting duct is a common passage for collecting urine from the different nephrons. It is a common passage to collect urine. So that's why collecting duct is not a part of each single particular nephron. It is a common passage for around 4,000 nephrons. 4,000 nephrons opens into the collecting duct, drag their urine into the collecting duct, and that urine goes into the ureter, then urinary bladder, into the urethra. This is the structure of the nephron. Now we will study how urine formed in this nephron, what this structure do with the blood, and how it gets purified and how it makes urine. The main heading of today's the formation mechanism of urine formation, how our urine gets formed, the most important question of the boards and the most important question for Olympiads. Write the steps to form urine formation. The urine formation completes in 3 steps. We have to remember the 3 steps to form the urine. The first one is glomerular filtration. The second one is selective reabsorption. The third one is tubular secretion. We will study it one by one. Let us discuss. The first one is glomerular filtration. Means something is filtering out into the glomerulus. And where is glomerulus? Where is glomerulus? This is the tuft of capillaries. It's called as glomerulus. This is called as glomerulus. Now, here the blood is coming into the nephron. This tuft of capillaries is called as glomerulus. Here capillaries are porous, means they have minute pores from where the blood get filtered out. The harmful substances get filtered in the renal capsule. The first step is called as filtration. But sometimes, with the blood, some small particles also get filtered out. So to reabsorb them, the second step occurs is reabsorption. Third step is secretion. Something which remains in the blood needs to be excreted out into the nephron. The third step is called as secretion, and the final step is urinary excretion. We will discuss in detail by drawing our handmade diagram. Let us discuss the first step, that is glomerular filtration. What is glomerular filtration? Again, draw the diagram. Now we will draw the rough diagram and we will discuss it. Now you will tell me the name of the parts of the nephron. The impure blood gets come into the nephron. Here the bloods get purified. Why? Why here the blood gets purified? Because in the glomerulus, these kept first step, glomerular filtration. Glomerular filtration. Here in glomerulus, the capillaries become porous. Means the capillaries become porous like this, like this, like this. The small proteins, the small waste like urea gets filtered out into the renal capsule. The filtered that they are filtered out in the renal capsule, and here they are called as filtrate. They are called as filtrate. What gets filtered out? Urea, ammonia. But sometimes, not sometimes, always, small particles, small molecules like glucose, amino acids, fatty acids like glucose, amino acids, fatty acids gets filtered out along with the blood. But they are an important compound. They are important molecules for our body. They needs to remain in the body, but they get filtered out because they are small in size. But large proteins, large molecules do not get filtered out. They remain in the blood. These small molecules, small particles get filtered out along with the filtrate. They needs to be reabsorbed into the blood again. So here our second step comes, that is called as reabsorption. What is the meaning of reabsorption? The compounds, that chemicals, the molecules that get absorbed in the renal capsule needs to be reabsorbed into the blood, because they are important from our body. So this is the peritubular cavities. Capillaries, I'm making it straight to understand the concept. These molecules needs to be reabsorbed again into the blood. What are? Glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, NaCl, water. Everything, these molecules are very important for our daily life, for our daily activities. If these molecules get filtered out, we will get sick. So we need to reabsorb them. The reabsorption, maximum reabsorption takes place in which part of the nephron? Taking place in which part? The part is called as PCT. The part is called as PCT. Why maximum reabsorption is occurring in a PCT? The question arises, why only this part is maximum reabsorption is occurring? Because in PCT there is a special type of epithelium is found, which is called as simple cuboidal epithelium. Why? Because which epithelium? Simple, sorry, not simple, my mistake. Brush bordered cuboidal epithelium. It is brush bordered cuboidal epithelium. And due to this, the maximum reabsorption occurs in the part PCT, glucose, amino acids, fatty acid, NaCl, H2O. And some of these reabsorbed actively and some of these reabsorb passively. You have to learn about only these. The reabsorption of glucose is an active process. The reabsorption of water is a passive process. Reabsorption of glucose occurs actively via transporter. It requires energy. The reabsorption of water doesn't require any transporter. It occurs passively. The reabsorption of glucose occurs via transporter named as SGLT, not important for you. And H2O reabsorb passively. Actively means it requires energy to move from here to here. H2O don't require any energy to move. The reabsorption takes place maximum in the PCT. Another part, that is loop of Henle. In descending limb, this is the descending limb. The reabsorption, only the reabsorption of water takes place. High amount of water gets reabsorbed from the descending limb of loop of Henle. And from ascending limb, only reabsorption of electrolyte takes place. That is NaCl. NaCl. So, loop of Henle is very important for conserving the water in the organism. The long as the loop of Henle, the more will be the water will conserved. The length of the loop of Henle, the more will be the conserved will water. We will conserve the water. So if someone asked you, the organism having too much lengthy loop of Henle, so what will happen to the organism? We will say it will reabsorb very huge amount of waters. Like camels. Camels live in a desert. They have very scarcity of water. So they need to conserve the water in their body. That's why camels have very long loop of Henle, so they can reabsorb maximum amount of water in their body. So the length of loop of Henle represent the amount of conservation of water in the organisms. Now in DCT, only conditional reabsorption occurs. If our body requires lots of amount of water, then from DCT also the reabsorption occurs under the influence of some hormones like antidiuretic hormones like aldosterone, in the influence of ADH and aldosterone. Aldosterone. And from collecting that also the reabsorption of water takes place under these hormones like ADH and aldosterone. This is how our urine gets formed. The blood gets filtered out. First step, glomerular filtration. Second, important things needs to be reabsorbed. And the last one, some amount of electrolytes like potassium, some compounds like ammonia, urea needs to be excreted out, which remains in a blood. To maintain the ionic balance of the blood, some things needs to be secrete out in the nephron, from blood to the nephron. What? K plus, ammonia, H plus, urea, all these things gets secreted into the nephron from the blood to maintain the ionic balance of the blood. This step is called as tubular secretion. Tubular secretion. And after all these three steps, our urine is formed and gets come into the collecting duct. This is now called as urine, and this will move to ureter, then to urinary bladder, and to the urethra. Congratulations, our urine is formed. Our motive is completed. The process of urine formation completed into the three steps: glomerular filtration, reabsorption, tubular secretion. This is the most important question for your board examination. You will draw this diagram, you will get 100% marks in your examination. The process of urine formation. Now let's move on to the next topic, micturition. Now urine is formed. Now it needs to be released out of the body, from the body. The process of releasing of urine from the human body is called as micturition. We will write the definition. What is micturition? The process of releasing of urine from the body is called as micturition. Now let us understand the concept of micturition, how this will occur. Let's draw again the diagram of the human excretory system. These are our kidneys. Urine gets formed into the kidneys, comes via ureter into the urinary bladder. Urine gets stored into the urinary bladder and then moves out from the body via urethra. Now understand the concept of micturition. When our urine gets filled into the urinary bladder, how we sense that our urinary bladder get filled? Because in urinary bladder we have stretch receptors. In urinary bladder we have stretch receptors like this. These stretch receptors sense the these stretch receptors sense stretching of urinary bladder, sense the stretching of urinary bladder and then sends signal to the CNS. What is CNS? Our central nervous system. They send message to CNS that the urinary bladder gets filled. It's time to remove urine from the body. Then our CNS sends signal to the urinary bladder and starts contraction in the urinary bladder to remove urine from the body. How our urinary bladder get stretched? What is the special thing does this urinary bladder have? So let's understand. Our urinary bladder have special type of epithelium. This epithelium is called as transitional epithelium. This transitional epithelium have ability to stretch. By the help of this epithelium, our urinary bladder have ability to stretch, and this stretching is sensed by stretch receptor, then is sent to CNS, then a CNS sends signal our urinary bladder to contract and relax, For this contraction and relaxation, we have a special type of muscle. In our urinary bladder. These muscles contract and relax. These muscles are called as detrusor muscles. These muscles contract, these muscles relax, and by the signal of the CNS, the sphincter of urethra gets open. In urethra, we have two sphincters. The inner one is involuntary sphincter. The outer one is voluntary sphincter. Voluntary and involuntary means this is involuntary sphincter. This is voluntary sphincter. Means involuntary means that is not in our control. We cannot control the opening or closing of this sphincter. This involuntary sphincter gets opened by the signal comes from the CNS. But voluntary sphincter is in our control. we have choice to open this sphincter when we get place to get urine, to remove urine from the body. So when we open this voluntary sphincter, the urine moves up from the body. The process is called as micturition. The removal, the release of urine from the body is called as micturition. And this whole process, this sending signal, then signal comes to urinary bladder, is called as micturition reflex. This process is called as micturition reflex. So we have understand how our urine comes out from the body. Let's move on to the next topic of today, that is artificial kidney. This diagram is given in your NCERT book, from by which many students get scared. What is this diagram? We will understand this in very simple language. Artificial kidney is a concept when a human kidney is not able to purify the blood. Means the kidney gets failed to do this his work. And what is his work? To purify the blood. When kidney fails to purify the blood, the excretory amount get accumulated into the blood. And what is our excretory product? Urea. If urea gets accumulated into the blood, the disease caused is called as uremia. The disease is called as uremia. So in case of uremia, the artificial kidney concept is used. Now what is artificial kidney? This process is called as hemodialysis. This process is boon for many patients who are suffering from a kidney failure. In this process, person goes to hospital, lie down on a bed. Hospital staff connect this patient with a machine called as hemodialyzer machine. In this machine, the blood is taken out from the artery of the patient. The blood is taken out from the artery of the patient, and this blood is poured into this machine. This machine is called as dialyzing machine. In this machine, there is a semi-permeable tubes. There is a semi-permeable tube. These tubes are called as cellophane tube. These tubes are called as cellophane tube. And here, this yellowish fluid is called as dialyzing fluid. Dialyzing fluid, which is filled in the chamber. And in this chamber, these tubes are present. That composition of dialyzing fluid is same as the composition is same as blood, except urea. Means the blood which is coming into this machine is very high amount of urea is present in this blood. But in this dialyzing fluid, everything is present like blood, but except urea. So in this tube, amount of urea is very high. In this fluid, amount of urea is very low. From high amount to low amount. From high to low, the urea gets diffused out into this fluid, this dialyzing fluid, and filtered the blood. The blood gets filtered, the urea removed from the blood by the process of simple diffusion, because this tube is selectively permeable membrane. The urea gets filtered out from the membrane, our blood gets filtered, and this filtered blood gets again into the patient by vein. The blood is taken out by the artery and gets into via vein. Why? Because the blood pressure of artery is very high. The blood get into the machine with very high pressure. And why in vein? Because the blood pressure of vein is very low. If we put blood into the vein, then vein can handle the pressure, high pressure coming into the body. That's why blood is taken out from the artery and taken in via vein. The blood gets filtered, and this dialyzing fluid is removed from this chamber, and fresh dialyzing fluid is added. And this process continues till the blood gets filtered. That's how the patient with kidney failure filter their blood within every week, and this is a very costly process, but it's a boon method for many kidney failure patients. But it is a temporary process, not a permanent process. Now what is a permanent solution? To get kidney transplant. Kidney transplantation is the ultimate solution of the kidney failure. Now let's move on to the last part of the topic, that is excretion in plants. Very boring. Human excretory system is very interesting part. This part is very boring. We will understand this in within 5 minutes. Excretion in plant. Plant do not have any excretory organs like us. We have excretory organs like kidney, uretary, bladder, but plants do not have all these organs. Plants just excrete out some things directly. How? Plant excrete waste differently from animals. They do not have any excretory organs. Oxygen produced during photosynthesis is a waste product. Plants, oxygen is waste for plants but important for us. Carbon dioxide from respiration and excess water removed by the process of transpiration. So via transpiration they remove water from the body and some other methods by which they excrete out. Let us understand one by one. Gaseous product like O2, CO2 diffusion through stomata, excess water via transpiration, metabolic waste like resins, gums, tannin stored in old xylem or vacuoles, unwanted material, that material was not required by the plant which is stored in leaves, then leaves get fall off, soluble waste excreted into the surrounding. Very simple. Excretion in plant is very simple. The most complex is human excretory system. So this is the completion of our topic, excretion in human beings and excretion in plant. Now let us discuss some question and then we will wind up our session. First question, a student observed that in a nephron, glomerular filtration is normal. A student observed that in a nephron, glomerular filtration is normal, but the volume of urine is unusually high and very dilute. Which of the following is the most probable cause? Volume of urine is very high and very dilute, means there is a huge amount of water in the urine of the organism. What is the problem? Decreased blood pressure? No, not related. Damage to proximal? Absorption of water occurs, but not as much from other parts. Non-functional loop of Henle. Yes, non-functional loop of Henle. As we know that the function of the loop of Henle is to reabsorb the water from the descending loop of Henle. So the answer will be non-functional loop of Henle. Come to the second question. Which of the following substance is present in glomerular filtrate but completely absent in normal urine? Which of the following substance is present in filtrate but not present in urine? Means this product will be reabsorbed. And what is the thing that gets reabsorbed? Completely glucose, completely 100% reabsorbed. The reabsorption of glucose is 100%. The answer will be glucose. Let us come to another question. Which of the following correctly explains why proteins are normally absent in urine? Why? Proteins are insoluble in plasma. Proteins are completely reabsorbed. Proteins are too large. Proteins are too large. I said only small molecules gets filtered out. Proteins do not get filtered out because they are too large to pass through the glomerular membrane. The last question, a mutation causes shortening of the loop of Henle. In a mutation, the loop of Henle gets short in humans. Now, which of the following consequences is most likely? Increased nitrogen waste, not related. Formation of hypotonic, not related. Reduced ability to conserve water, something related. Reduced ability to conserve water. The function of loop of Henle is to conserve the water. If the loop of Henle gets short, the ability to conserve the water gets reduced. This is the answer of this question. So, we have successfully completed our session, excretion in human beings, excretion in plants. I hope all of you understand the topic. Thank you so much.